Hey everybody, so we're live. Spanny is on, but she's sick. So she probably won't talk much. So it's gonna be me and Amber tonight. And I want to wish everybody a happy Easter and a good Friday and all that. So today, um, well, first I want to say that how proud I am of Spanny. She's got 4 more kids that'll be coming home soon. Um She doesn't believe that she's the best, but she is. So congratulations on that, Fanny. And Amber's getting good stuff going on with her case. So good job there, oh Amber.
I mean, I don't think I'd be where I am at currently if it wasn't for Spanny or you. So thanks.
Well, you're welcome. So I got allergies. I got a tickle in my throat. So if I start coughing, that's why. Spanny's got a sinus infection. Poor thing. So tonight we're going to talk about what CPS can and cannot do. Right. First of all, we all know what they can't do. They're not supposed to do, but they do anyway. So just because we're telling you what they can and cannot do and what the laws are doesn't mean that they follow them. So do you want to add anything?
I would also probably like to point out that they are notorious for breaking their own laws and do it with such pizzazz that most people that have never interacted with them would probably think it is their normal policies and procedures. And so always know your own laws, because being a victim and dealing with them, I will tell you, you don't know your rights until it matters. And even if you know your rights, they like to push the boundaries.
Yeah. Unless they get a belligerent person like me, because I don't play that. And Amber, you actually came to my house and you saw that the Constitution in my house, I've got 3 of them. I have human rights. I have certificates in all these. My whole bookcase is nothing but constitutional law, all that. Am I right? You've been here.
I loved being at your house, first off. I think my favorite thing in your house wasn't just the Constitution, it was the certificate that somebody had sent you hanging on your wall.
Oh, that asshole one? Yes. We got that for Christmas from one of the girls that I advocate with, or have advocated for. And it describes me to a T. It says that I'm a bitch and I'm sarcastic. And it just, thank you. I love it too. I do. I'll have to pull it up and show it.
I think it is definitely worth it, because I mean, I've known about laws like backgrounds pre-law, but I didn't know the Constitution the way that Tiffany tells the Constitution. Or like, I didn't know my rights until Tiffany came in and was like, no, 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 this isn't going to fly. And I commend you for that, because we're all sitting here today trying to get hundreds of these kids as home, and these families, and I'm speaking in general, these agencies seem to have a pattern.
They do.
And they don't seem to understand the Constitution or the rights to due process or equal protection clauses, or what does it mean to give access and fair full credit to protection orders. And I'm finding that in this day and age now, there are hundreds of thousands of families. I think somebody said it's every seven minutes a kid, they're gone. And Larry's been on here before. And I think a lot of this boils down to a lot of these cases have already been predetermined in the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it not prevalently in these families' faces? I think they have this deception about them. Like, this is how they're kind of just moving and grooving. But I've learned a lot from you, and I've learned a lot from Spanny. And I think people need to know what their rights are. Like, how do you deal with these CPS workers? What do you do when a judge wants to state that your constitutional rights don't matter? Or
Well,
what do you do? Yeah.
that's when you say, just like I did, Your Honor, do not make me leave your courtroom and go call a civil rights attorney. Because they know the minute you say civil rights attorney, they're going to act right. Because I told a judge that. And the biggest thing is, all these cases, me and Spanny have already done. It was 4 hours, but it was 4 separate shows of all these cases, 154, now 155 cases against CPS, the police, about parental rights. It's about all of that, right? So I started telling my clients, when these judges start telling you whatever the case may be in your situation, the Supreme Courts, the federal courts, they've already gone over this. Start saying stare decisis, right? Stare decisis means let the ruling stand. It's already been ruled on.
And I think that's why we're all here again. Like, there's been so many rulings, and I want to bring up my favorite one now that Larry's like dove into it. Like, I have fully grasped this to a whole new world level. The Sharopa versus Nicholson case has probably become my favorite because it clearly states that if you are a victim of domestic violence or your children or a victim of crime, that CPS cannot come in and remove your kids from your care, nor, hold on, can they accuse you of negligence when, as a victim of any crime, nobody wants to come forth and be like, I experienced this. And so I think a lot of these families are here too because they feel like they're alone. Like, they've been in those domestic violence situations. They've been in the situations where their kids have been injured. And I think there is no clear cut, cookie cutter way for these CPS workers to maybe empathize with these families because they don't give a shit. So, like, to them, they see a family that's experienced domestic violence, whether it's in the civilian side or the other side, and they see this opportunity to come in and make these safety plans. But nobody understands what that safety plan means and the statute of limitations. And I believe it's different for every state.
30 days.
So, right. And some of these states are holding them up to a year.
Which means that they're non-void. They're no good after 30 days. And you shouldn't be signing a safety plan anyway, okay? Because the minute you sign a safety plan, you've just admitted guilt.
So these families are then being told by these caseworkers, we understand you're in a domestic violence TIF. If you sign said safety plan and promise to remove the assailant, we will stay out of your life. However.com, until you've experienced it. You would think that these people, which their purpose is child protective services. So if you go to the founding of why this agency was established, it was not established to rip families apart. It was established for dire need situations to give these families the resources that they need to not be homeless, to be able to provide for their kids, to be able to have counseling, to be able to assist on that level. So now it has been taken up 10 notches, in my opinion, to where these families are afraid to even go to social services and ask for assistance for their electric bill, or they're afraid to ask for Medicaid or assistance because the minute that they have done that, they then have become a target. So the system that was established to protect these families and to protect these children have been subverted. I think that's the term, to basically be a weapon against them. So here we have, in Virginia alone, 700,000 plus kids missing in foster care, wherever they're at, and these families have been ripped away. The correct way to fix this, in my opinion, is have a merit board review hearing in all the states. Because the problem is, there are moments where CPS does need to get involved. Like if you have bugs in your house and you are said comfortable living with all of that and you haven't exerted and attempted to fix that, or you're homeless because of a domestic violence situation, they need to step in to give you the resources to get off the street. So I understand that the way the federal laws have been structured allow them to get said funding, but nobody has done a judicial disclosure in these states to ask where this said funding is going.
Well,
So, yeah,
that's where the federal government is now putting into place that they want to know where this money is going, right? Like the TANF money. Okay, first everybody must understand that CPS believes this is their money. Okay, like it's coming out of their pocket. So they're very stingy with it. But that's why the federal government has said, no, 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 no. TANF was not meant for you to investigate families. It was not meant for you to put pictures on the walls and paint the office and do whatever you want. It was made for families, right? So they told them every year they have to account for every penny that the federal government gives them for TANF, right? Because if they don't, two things are going to happen. The state's going to lose their federal funding. They will be monetarily fined. So that's two good things. And I think people don't understand that they will tell you that they'll help you and give you services if you sign a safety plan. No, even if you sign a safety plan, I have worked with people who have not gotten the services, and social services has said, oh, well, we gave her all the services. That's not true because they don't like doing the services. They target your kids.
I'd also like to point out, I think my least favorite aspect is when multiple jurisdictions are involved, because I have cases that have come to my attention from Nevada and tied Missouri and Kansas and other states. And if you look at them, the issue I have is social services is not effing allowed to cross a state line and go and testify in court on behalf of somebody else because it's not in their thing and it's against the federal laws. So when these kids are being picked up, let's say in Nevada, but they started in, let's say, Texas, the Erie Doctrine has been removed from law programs because it's who has original jurisdiction. And so in the Erie Doctrine, if a kid started here and a kid ended up here, who then has responsibility? So CPS then can ask another state for assistance, but that other state that they then ask for assistance does not get to pull jurisdiction over those children, and they need to work together. And that's the other aspect, is they're not. So you're watching kids that started in one state, then get pulled from another state, but they're getting pulled from the other state and the original state going to that state and pulling them. So like my biggest issue is the federal government has all of these things, kinship care, there's laws for that. There's laws for domestic violence. There's laws for protection orders. There's laws for resources that are required to be provided. And I think the Interstate Compact Act, when CPS is going into these families and you are telling them, I do not contract with you And yet they are subverting themselves into it going, I don't care if you don't contract us, we're going to file X, Y, and Z. Well, you've already established your right. So, like, how would you tell a family, I've already emailed this caseworker that has contacted me. They have been told to not contact me. They have been told I will not contract with them. Now they have gone above and beyond. Who do I then report that to as a family that has been subjected to that? So their children that were wrongfully taken then get returned and those agents get held accountable. Like, what would you tell a family? Because that happens every day where these families are establishing their constitutional rights.
Mhm.
And they're going in and doing it. So what's the accountability? Where do you go? Like step one, if your kids are taken, who do you report that to? Step two, where do you go? Do you see like?
Well, the first thing is you always have to start local, right? So you can ask to speak to your local director. They're not going to do anything. Every town, city, every whatever you want to call it, little entity has a board of supervisors and a board of social services. Okay. You can contact them. But you got to remember, as long as you're dealing with the state people, you're really not going to get anywhere, but you want a paper trail. Once they don't do anything, then you go to your regional district, right? So you have to look up your state because districts are all, or the regional districts are, like in Virginia, we have 4 regional offices, right? The one for my area is Warrington. Then, if you don't get anywhere, then you contact Human and Resources, whatever, at the governor's office because there's somebody inside the governor's office too. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get anywhere. The minute somebody's kids are taken, I just get so frustrated when kids are taken. And I'm learning this as I go, because remember, you're never too old to learn. Because CPS gets a federal grant for any child in foster care, you should take it to federal court. Stop messing with these little juvenile domestic courts, the state courts. I'm telling you,
Rule
people need to
60.
start filing. Spanny said Rule 60, right?
Is that one?
Rule 60. Because anytime a child goes into foster care, they get a federal grant for that child. Therefore, it should now become a federal issue.
Rule 60 also makes it so you can start a case in Supreme Court even if you're still in family court.
There you go. You heard it from the best.
So then, me being me, and I'm trying to word this correctly because my mouth gets me in trouble at times. If you have exhausted all options, the process of time in these Supreme Courts, of them even getting back, what is their time that they are required to get back? Like, what would be deemed an ex parte emergency thing? Because at some point, if you look in the federal laws under 18 USC 5033, any delinquent that is said removed from one state to another under the Interstate Compact Act, under the Social Security Administration Act, is required to have notification to the Attorney General. So when you go to the Attorney General and you say, my child has been unlawfully removed from the state of Maine and has been taken to California, are these attorney generals
They're
not
not going to do
aware?
crap. They won't do crap. Your best bet is, as she said, going up to federal court with that. Because Supreme Court will not step in with that Well, they will, but they won't. They'll do it in a very untimely manner. Um, but if it's a life or death situation, I believe there's an expedited form you can fill out for that. But if your kid is just taken, you're pretty much, and they're doing fine and they're healthy where they are, you're going to be sitting for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think parents understand this, that like, even when advocates are called in, like, we are not, how do I say this? We are not dragging our feet to try to get these kids returned. We are at the mercy of the frequent delays of the situation. And
And
even
the
in some of
laws,
these,
and the
huh?
laws, and the
Right,
laws.
right. And I think the other issue is, even in life or death situations, we would love to go and speed up the process, but it goes back to what you said. It goes back to the laws. And I think it's frustrating for a lot of parents that have been in the situations or have gotten out of the situations to understand that, like, we don't carry a magic wand. Like, we don't wave a magic wand and we're like, here you go. Here's all the errors. Like, we can do everything possible and guide. But I've noticed that a lot of the lower courts have inadvertently drug things out, trying to cover up their
Yep,
stuff.
they do it all the time.
It's all about the money.
Also, I have a problem with the parent sometimes. The parent wants everything done yesterday, yet you try to get a hold of them and they ghost. So sometimes it's just a matter of, I will move on because I'm not going to sit there and try to chase your ass down.
Yeah, we're not babysitters. We're not babysitters. If you want our help and we reach out to you and you don't contact us, I'm like Spanny. I just move on too, because we got
Well,
other people that need us.
Well, and I
Mhm.
think we're babysitters of each other, of keeping each other on task, but babysitters in general, no.
Especially when Amber owes me a piece of paper she said she sent me yesterday.
See, babysitter right there. But see, like, I could call Spanny and be like, you're not going to believe what, because everybody knows behind the scenes what's going on in my life. So I appreciate all the patience. I think for me, what gets me the most out of this is, what constitutional rights, like, we got to start at the back end. What do you do when a caseworker shows up at your door with the police officer stating they have a non-secure custody order, but there's no retrieval? So what do you tell your parents? So if we're going to go back over all of this, let's start from A.
Okay, so the first thing is, I'm just going to use myself, okay? Because I don't like putting people's names out there. Okay, CPS shows up at my door. 12 police officers and her. The first thing I tell parents is, if they're at the front door and you have another way to get out of your house, you go out that way. You never go out your front door, okay? Never, ever. I always feel like it's a trap. So go out a back door. Make sure, if you don't have security cameras, you have your phone and it's recording the minute you step out your door. In Virginia, now every state is different, so you have to look up your own state. In Virginia, it is a one-party state. As long as you are part of the conversation, you do not have to tell anybody you are recording them. The second thing I tell them is, you always ask them if they have a court order. I don't always ask them first. My first question is, why are you here? Right? They don't like to tell you either that, oh, we got a call. What's the call for? What's the complaint? What's the allegation? Now, remember, allegations are not crimes. People can say, I'm out here selling my ass on Braddock Street, and I could be sitting in my house minding my own business. That's an allegation. The other thing I tell my parents is, if they do not have a court order, now, if they have a court order, as long as the child is on private property and they cannot get in the house, because a removal order is not an order It is not a warrant to enter your home. It's two separate issues. If they have a removal order and you are in your home, I tell parents, do not open your door. Okay? That could be right or wrong. It's up to you. I wouldn't do it. They cannot remove a child that is not in public view.
Hold on. What if on those removal orders, it states that law enforcement can enter and do anything with any force necessary to retrieve kids?
Where's the probable cause? Then that's false. That's fraud. That's fraud. Because you have to have probable cause for two things: to search your person, your property, your papers. That's the Fourth Amendment. There has to be probable cause. A social worker, a police officer, an officer of the court cannot go and get a warrant to enter your home without probable cause. Okay? Now, don't misconstrue probable cause with exigent circumstances and imminent danger. Exigent circumstances, the police can kick your door in. No warrant. That's just how it is. That because under exigent circumstances, it clearly states bodily harm or death. Go ahead, Amber.
I'm just listening.
Oh, so always ask them, why are you here? We'll record them. Why are you here? What's the allegation? Do you have a removal order? Do you have a warrant? And if they say no, this is what I tell my parents. The first thing you have to know is your rights. So you have a right to privacy under the Fourth Amendment. Everybody needs to put a copy of the Fourth Amendment on their front door. You have a Fifth Amendment right, and this is my favorite saying, to shut the fuck up, and that is what you do. You don't speak to them anymore, nothing. You have a Sixth Amendment right to face your accuser. That is your right. You have the Seventh Amendment is very good, and I like it. Because the Seventh Amendment, they will tell you can't have a jury trial because it's civil. Absolutely not. You reserve the right under the Seventh Amendment to have a trial by jury in a civil case. The 8th, 9th, and 10th, they're all pretty much consent. But the 14th Amendment, this is where a lot of people get messed up, because the 14th and the 5th also, they have due process clause, right? You're supposed to be equal under the law. You're supposed to be. Now, you heard what I said. Supposed to be. You are not supposed to have your liberty, your freedom, your life, your property. None of that can be taken away from you before you have due process in a court. And that is one of the biggest problems I have with CPS. They will come in. This is what they do. I hate this word. We believe Miss Wise is a danger and to future abuse of this child. Bitch, do you have a crystal ball? Do you know what I'm going to do? Because you clearly need to tell me what my future is. Am I going to be a millionaire? You cannot make that prediction. Belief. If you look at your orders, or if you get your records, there's clearly, they got all this paperwork and they check it off. Belief. Bullshit. You, Spanny, nobody can walk into court without CPS having attached to our names and say, Your Honor, I believe my grandchildren are being abused. Because you know what's going to happen? Miss Wise, get out of my courtroom until you bring evidence. Now, I tell people also, because these people are so ignorant to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I've been telling people you can go online and you can actually download a kid version of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Post it on your door. It's very simple. It's very clean, and it teaches children. So if you can't read and you're knocking on my door, I'm coming belligerent. Okay? Just know, you knock on my door, it's going to be some shit. They already pick straws when they got to come and deal with me. But that's the truth. And then you're supposed to have a hearing within 72 hours. That doesn't always happen. Actually, if you read their policies and procedures, which they don't follow, when they go get a removal order, one of the questions on that removal order is, was the child taken within the first 4 hours? Normally, they're not. So then they, quote unquote, assume custody. Assuming custody in Virginia just means you can transport them. That's all it means. That's it. It doesn't mean that they're in state custody. It just means you can transport them.
It also doesn't give them the right to show up 10 states away and take children from kinship care.
No.
Or any other situation. However.com, I am going to speak, and Spanny will yell at me later for this one. How many times can you amend a removal order and it be valid when it was invalid from the get-go? Like, I'm pretty sure you cannot amend at any point a removal order within civil procedures or any laws to cover up a party not being served. Period. End of story.
If you find fault with it, like I keep saying, you guys use Rule 60. It includes judges on it.
And I want to answer Kenneth's I want to say something about his comment. That is absolute bullshit. You First Amendment right. You can record anybody at any time unless you are on their property. Okay, in Virginia. So I don't know about your state, but in Virginia, you cannot record on somebody else's property without them being notified. That's just how it is. But
this question is, do we have a right to CPS's records on our case? Yes, you do.
Yes.
And you can record them.
Yeah, you have to FOIA request them though, and we've walked through that, but I don't think I put it in the Kansas chat. I will grab that and put it in Kansas chat for you.
Well, I'll just tell them how to do it real quick. So when you do a FOIA act, okay, that's another thing. Even if the police are there, the police cannot take your child into custody without a court order. Okay, just so everybody's clear on that. I don't care. They're only bringing the police to protect them. If you go back and watch my videos with me, the police, and the social worker, and then me and the sergeant, you will see that he knows. I told him, you're only here to protect her. He said, yeah, I'm only here to protect her. I said, I know, because I do. You better be glad I'm not 25 years old, because I whipped that bitch's ass. She's on my property and she was told to leave, but I didn't tell him that. But anyway, so when you request your records, you have every right to anything that has your name on it. When you do a Freedom of Information Act, you send it directly to the director of the CPS. You need to find out who the director is. Now, they are going to redact a lot of it, so be prepared for that. But what you do is you say, this is Tiffany Wise. CPS had a case on me. I'm asking for a copy. I'm requesting a copy of my file. I put handwritten notes, audio, because we had audio and video, and the file. Then what you do is you notify every delegate in your area, every senator in your state, every senator in your federal district, every congressman, and you send a copy of that to the governor. You send it everywhere.
Listen, I'm going to just comment on all the comments. They are going to give you a really, really hard time because they're going to deny, which is why Tiffany is stating, make sure you are sending a copy to the senators, your congressmen and women, your delegates, and your governors, because when they come back and they deny it, then you send a response letter to them stating on this date at this time, I requested this record, and on this date at this time, attached you will see below the denial request, which is a violation of my First Amendment right. So I herein basically am telling you, if you do not provide the documents, I will then sue you for a violation of my First Amendment right. So you are notifying them.
One thing, it does not matter if they try to use, well, the minor children are in it. It doesn't matter. It's a Freedom of Information Act for a reason.
And
hold on, that also goes for the bonds.
Yeah, I got information on that. I'm going to start reading it next week, and I'm going to figure out how to do it. We're going to do a show on it once I figure it out. But I also tell people, if there were police officers at this interaction, the same night, the 12 police officers were in my yard with that bitch. I told the sheriff the next day, because I went in my house after they left, typed up a Freedom of Information Act straight to the sheriff's department. I said, I want all body cam video footage and I want all the police reports. And then I called him and he tried to say, Miss Wise, CPS said they got custody of this kid. I said, oh yeah? Where is the removal order? Well, I'm not going to argue with you, Miss Wise. I said, I know you're not. He said, don't make me put out an Amber Alert. Well, I told him, well, I tell you what, this will be your very last Amber Alert if you put that alert out. I promise you. He didn't, but I had my freedom. I had all my body cam videos and the 2 police reports. He sent it all to me. So do that too and get that body cam video.
I'm going to, again, comment on Christine's thing. You're going to have to constantly send it. And if you send it to one of us. So maybe it can be a conjoined request if it's a similar state issue, because there are some problem states and we are all aware of them. But I have known plenty of cases where they haven't gotten their records, which then subverts me to the statement that you made. Take it federally and ask for the FOIA records in your discovery and state that your records were not given to you.
Or better yet, go pro se, and they have to turn them over unredacted because you have to build a defense. That's what I would do. No lie. My daughter's file, I did her Freedom of Information Act this thick, 60 days, this thick. I did mine this thick. Yeah. But see, and I keep telling people this. This is why me and Spanny get along so well. Because we're like cut. That's why people think we're twins, because we're like cut from the same cloth. Do not play with these people. Okay? I mean, I have had more CPS cases than anybody I know. I have dealt with these people for over 35 years. They know I am not playing with them. If I'm getting involved or I'm in your face, there's a real problem and we're going to deal with it. And I'm not leaving here until we do. And they better bring the National Guard to come and get me, because the Sheriff's Department is not coming to get Tiffany Wise. They do not want to deal with Tiffany Wise. She's belligerent.
Gummies, Tiffany, gummies.
I know. I got a lot going on, Span. You know that. So I got to get some frustration out.
I think the findings and everything that you're stating, again, send all of that to the email below, because there are some problem states. And my sixth sense is going off that it's probably in one of the problem states. Maybe Spanny's
West
favorite
Virginia.
state.
And I want to go back to Kenneth for a minute. He said that they won't give him the information because he's not the biological parent. If he was involved in that case, he is entitled to those records. If his name is anywhere on that paperwork, he is entitled to them.
So let's do damage control, because there's a lot of cases currently going around that now have to be backpedaled. So you get a family that comes to you, Tiffany.
Yes,
You know,
M. Young, this is live now.
Tiffany, they removed my kids with fraud, non-secure custody orders. I haven't had any contact with my kids. How do I gain contact? I'm getting no traction. Help.
Are you talking about your case?
No,
Oh. What does it say? She's gaining no traction?
it's a dude that has 4 states locked up. It started in Nevada, went to Kansas, went to Texas, went to South Carolina.
Okay, hold on. Where was the original? Was there a custody hearing ever in with these kids? Not CPS, just a regular custody.
It was in Nevada.
Okay. So is he still in Nevada?
He is now in South Carolina.
So he needs to move back to Nevada.
Because this is what happens, right? And a lot of people, they don't understand until they get in situations and they're like, I should have had a VA, right? You know that saying? Right? I should have had a VA. This is what happened. In the UCCJEA, every state has a state one and there's a federal one. If he had stayed in Nevada, where his original custody had gone, even if mom moved away, that's where all the court proceedings would have stayed. Now, I don't understand how the kids went from Nevada to this state, to this state, to this state. Were they placed in foster care? Were they sent to mom? What happened?
They were placed in foster care.
Why did they leave Nevada?
Because they were getting threats and they were being the family. So the family fled, thinking, because they were told by an attorney that if they remained in the state, it was just going to be more problems for them.
Okay, wait a minute, Amber.
Oh, wait a second. Message me this person's name, because if it is the person I'm thinking about, you don't want to touch this.
Oh,
I don't think it is, but it may be. But I'll message it to you.
okay. So who? I'm going to keep going until Spanny says yes or no. Who was threatening the family?
The grandmother.
Grandma?
Grandma made false reports on
Yeah.
the family to try to get custody because the parents split up. So the dad fled because his attorney told him to leave for his safety. It's quite complicated. I'll
Okay.
touch that later.
So he left. Went where?
To, I believe, Kansas, then to Texas, now in South Carolina.
Okay. So why are the kids in foster care?
I'll touch it with Spanny later.
Yeah, because if it doesn't make sense, I can't put it together. It's like a puzzle, right? You got to put all
The
the
math
pieces
ain't
together.
mathin'.
Huh?
The math ain't mathin' there.
Right. Something's not adding up. It's like a puzzle piece, right? You got to put all the pieces together. So you're going to have to give me more information. But I will tell you this. I would not have left Nevada.
They can get him from abandonment for leaving Nevada, even though the child was not in the state. Okay. So they
Go
have
back
to
to
move back to
Nevada.
Nevada if they even want a chance in hell getting that kid back.
Yeah. Nevada. So
I don't
want
care
people-
where in Nevada, as long as they're in Nevada.
Right. As long as they're in that state. Yes. So there's a couple of things that people need to research on their own. The first thing is, I tell everybody, download your state constitution, learn it. Download the federal constitution, learn it. Because at the end of the day, people don't understand how the laws work, right? There's different levels of laws. Superior law of the land is the Constitution. Under that is the federal. Under that is the state. People also need to learn, once they learn their Constitution and they learn the Bill of Rights, because you need to learn that too, you have to understand that local laws like statutes, rules, regulations, ordinances, those aren't laws, okay? Anything that contradicts the Constitution of the United States cannot be enforced. So I'm so good with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I can look at a law or a statute or whatever and tell you if it's constitutional or not. But those, you need to learn those. The other thing you need to learn is, anybody who has children, you need to learn the UCCJEA for federal and look at the one for your state, because that's what the judges go by. That's what they're supposed to go by. The other thing is, there's a bench book in every state that comes down from I'm going to say the Virginia Supreme Court, because I live in Virginia. But every state has a Supreme Court. Every year, that Supreme Court goes into the bench books, and everything is in that bench book for what the judges have to do, okay? So it's called a judge's bench book. Learn the judge's canons. And I'm seeing people here talking about lawyers won't touch this, and lawyers do not work for you. And people need to understand that, right? Their very first client is always going to be the state. It's sort of like going to a casino. The house always wins, and the court is the house. You have to know this stuff like a lawyer. I remember one time my husband said, you need to stop thinking like lawyers and law professionals. No, because as long as I think like that, I'm a step ahead of them, because they don't know what I'm going to do, right? But I know what they're going to do.
I'll tell you, I think it's it's volume 7, section 4 of the corpus. I can't ever say it. Some Latin word. Basically, it's the attorney's handbook. It states, and I semi-quote this, that their first duty is not to the client, it is to the court. And if a conflict then herein arises between the client and the court, the attorney must yield. Meaning the attorney has to dismiss their client if the attorney then becomes aware of fraud or unlawful actions that their client has usurped to take an upper hand on a case, because it is the attorney's job to the court. So when they give you these lovely court-appointed attorneys, they don't care about you or your family or your shit. They care about the paycheck. And just like, and I think this needs to be brought up, but you know how to do it, but and I'm still learning. Understand that when you pay an attorney a retainer fee, and I just learned this, you just gave them a donation, and that's actually taxable. So can you explain to everybody how these 1099s work? Because most of these attorneys that are getting paid, quote unquote, for services are not claiming taxes on their retainers. They're actually gifts. So
Well,
what do you do?
Well, what do you do? What you do is you ask that lawyer for an accountant of all your money. You want to see everything that he's done and where all your money went. So if he's not claiming it, you can actually write off attorney fees in Virginia up to a certain amount. So you always want to have that piece of paper with their letterhead on it. And everything should be on there. On this date, I did a motion. This day, and it cost X amount of dollars. This day we went to court. I was in court for 2 hours. Cost X amount of dollars. You should have a whole accounting of where that money went.
How do you do a 1099 for a judge that's out of line?
Oh no, it's not a 1099.
What do you call it?
It's a W-9.
Ever. You explain it. I'm still learning that.
Okay. So I would be the person to do two things. The judges around here don't like me either. So if they see my name come across their desk, they pass it off. But a W-9, because what people don't understand is that they work for us, right? Anybody in public service is a public servant, right? So that means they work for us, we the people. So W-9 pretty much says, we want your social security number. We want your information, because when we go to sue you, we want to make sure that there's enough money to get our share. So you got problems with judges, you got problems with bailiffs, you got problems with lawyers. Start handing out W-9 forms, download it from the IRS website, read it, start handing them out. Watch how fast the judge takes a recess and leaves the bench.
Also, look up ineffective assistance of counsel when it comes to your lawyers. There's the link on the bottom.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, just start W-9ing them, because they work for us. I sent you the thing. Did you read it?
What?
Did you read
didn't send it to me.
No, I sent it to Amber.
Oh, yeah, I read it and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I totally appreciated that. But I think for me, it was like when it's like you said, you wish you would have had a V8. There's a lot of moments in this, I think, when you're on both sides of the fence, you're like, oh, shit. Like, now make it make sense. Like, now it makes sense. But
that
I think
one,
it's also.
Kenneth, I will be having Ben on for that. Ben knows how to do this.
Oh, yeah, well, then we need to get Ben on. But you know what else you can do? You can also download the, go to uscourts.gov, go to forms, download federal complaint, make 12 copies, because there's going to be at least 12 people in that courtroom, and send one copy up to the judge. Say, Your Honor, whose name should I put on this? And of course, they're going to be curious, like, put on what? Send it up. And then when they see that it's a federal complaint, watch how fast the judge gets pissed and just gets up and walks out.
Don't do it in West Virginia. He'll throw you in jail.
Well, that's just telling them you better stand in line, because trust me, I got this paperwork. And if you think that's the only copy I got, you must have lost your damn mind.
Yeah, or if you don't mind going to jail and you're doing it in West Virginia because Schaefer's that much of an ass, what you do is make sure somebody in the back has it. That way you came in with somebody that has a copy, and they just write the name down and send it in for you. Make sure your name and date is already signed on there, so they just have to fill in the blank.
Yeah. But see, not everybody's like me, because if a judge ever put me in jail for inserting my rights, I would so appreciate it. How much time are you giving me? Because trust me, every day that I sit there, I will be collecting money in federal court.
And she'll be going, yay, vacation.
That's right. That's right. That's right, Spanny. Spanny knows I need a vacation right now. Jesus.
Oh, my God.
You do have to be careful. You do have to be careful. And I'm not saying don't disrespect. I'm not saying to disrespect the judge. But I'm just telling you that they think everybody that walks in there is, one, beneath them, two, doesn't understand the laws, three, they just don't care, right?
Even a private attorney does not really work for you in that.
Nope.
Doesn't matter how much you pay him.
Nope. Nope. And a lot of them will tell you that the reason they won't take on CPS or sue CPS, I got this one before. Miss Wise, I have to work with these people. I said, so what? What the fuck is your problem? You might have to work with them, but this is my life. Oh, Miss Wise, you're going to have to find another attorney.
In West Virginia, they threaten the lawyers.
I believe that. I believe that. CPS is ruthless. But you
They will
know,
threaten to take your niece and nephews, your grandchildren, your
Your puppy
aunts and
dog, your
uncles,
kitty, your
kids, your
goldfish.
cousins. Yeah, they'll take anybody in West Virginia if you try to go up against them. It's all just a big blackmail scheme. But Judge Schaefer says it's because of the meth outbreak there. It has nothing to do with that.
okay. So there's one other thing that I want to tell parents. I know school's about to end, but Amber was at my house and my grandson, I'm trying to register my grandson. I'm actually trying to think real. I don't know if I'm going to put him in school or not. So a friend of mine, because I always tell people to type up these do not consent forms when their kids go to school so that nobody can talk to their children unless it's about education. So she sent me it and I put my name and all my grandson stuff on there. So what I want you to do is the beginning of this next year is you need to type up a form, and you can hit Amber up or me and I'll send it to Spanny too. So we can send them out and all you do is put your information on there. What it says is under no circumstance is a police officer, a CPS worker, the principal, the school nurse, the guidance counselor, or anyone other than me allowed to speak to my grandson unless it has to do with education. And I clearly put in there that if they violated that, I would sue their ass. And anybody who had a hand in it, Amber's got a picture of it. Or did I give you a copy or did you take a picture of it?
No, you sent me it. And I was like, this is the smartest thing that anybody in my entire adulthood life of having a kid. You know, when you have a kid and you wish that like your parents or somebody would have given you like a handbook on how to raise them, this should be given to like every parent because I was like, oh shit, this makes an awful lot of sense.
Especially nowadays when the schools are trying to say that the children are a different sex.
Don't get me started on that one.
Let's not go there tonight.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
I will say it was brilliant. I am planning on using it, and any parent that's come my way, I have definitely thrown that to them like candy because I think to me, parents, I mean, I don't think you can stress enough until you've been in a situation and dealt with these individuals. You can read the Constitution, understand the Constitution, write the effing Constitution, but at the end of the day, until you need to use it, it's kind of goes in the back of your mind. Like, I know it's my right, the Second Amendment right, or I know it's my right to, not speak, and I know it's my right that you don't enter my property. But until you have to use it, not only for yourself, but for your kids or your kids' kids or whomever, I don't think it can be stressed enough because we in this country are sitting where we are all at right now because of the allowance of the Constitution to be subverted. Because it is easy for us under, we the people, to literally take somebody's word for something. And so I can't stress that to parents enough that like, yeah, go ahead, take your principal's word that your kids aren't going to be interrogated, or yes, they're a victim of crime, or yes, this has happened. But at the end of the day, until you put that in writing and you take it upon yourself, unfortunately, as sad as this is, there is no guarantee. Like, it's hard when you're a victim of the system. It's hard when your kids are then in schools being questioned or having this stuff. And we as parents have enough on our damn plate as it is that I really believe that that form that you gave me and that you're using really should potentially be petitioned to be included in school handbooks of like a check a box, because if we're having to, and I'm not going to touch any more on this other than if we're having to say, yes, we want our kids to learn about gender fluidity, or no, we don't. We have gotten to that point in our society where we have to say yes versus no, where 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and hell, even 10, 15 years ago, when we were all in school, none of that was even something that was discussed. So
Now,
I urge,
before we get, everybody on this bandwagon of we're all three against gender fluidity. We're not against gender fluidity. We are probably against somebody trying to pretend that they now are defined as a rock or something, okay? We have common sense about it. You can't be a cat or dog. You can't be a fish. You can only be male or female or transgender. It doesn't work that way.
we are normal people that understand, but the issue I have is these parents don't know their rights, and it's not that they don't know their rights because they were never taught their rights. It's the parents don't know their rights because they've never had to use them. And I think that's where CPS has really gained their traction of being able to continue to do what they've been doing. And then when you put these parents in a corner backed up against the wall, they're scared and they don't really know how to say or how to react. And I think the best advice that was ever given to me and all the time that I've dealt with this shit is remain calm. Don't say something at all. And if you, God forsaken, have to fucking say something, make sure that it's recorded so it can't be subverted against you or twisted that you said this when you said this. Like, have a witness if possible on the phone. Phone a fucking friend. Like, call somebody and be like, can you sit with me? This is going on. Because you never know when you're going to need it. And the best advice I can give to any parent that never thinks that CPS is going to show up at your door, don't be the parent to say that it will never happen to you.
That's right. That's right.
Because it happens.
Yes. Yes, it does. And it happens like every 10 or 15 minutes in this country. And the other reason I'm sending that with my grandson, if I do decide to put him into school, is because people don't understand, or they never knew, that schools have contracts with CPS, doctors, hospitals, all these places have contracts with CPS. Every
Counselors.
last one of them. Everybody. You're right. Therapists, doctors, lawyers, they all have contracts. And you're not part of that contract. Your kids are their money. When they see a kid, they see dollar signs. You don't have to believe me, but I'm telling you the truth.
You also have to understand that having a kid was a God-given right. So let me address something else in CPS. They love to terminate parental rights without terminating parental rights or subverting parental rights. You had a God-given right to have that child. If you were removed from your child in any way, shape, or form, there are statute of limitations, however.com. If it is done in fraud or it is done in a way that's not legal, stop being so fucking afraid to like not stand up and say, I've had enough. Like, I was told not to do this. Well, who told you to do that? Like, you had that kid. That kid was put in your care. And if you know something is wrong, stand up for it. And somebody, I forget the other guy, Kenneth, that wrote, CPS is a generational curse. CPS is only a generational curse if you are a foster care system kid yourself, or adopted yourself, or somehow had CPS involved in your childhood. You've got this like invisible cow tag. And in order to like unpluck it, you kind of have to use Tiffany and Spanny's and everybody's way of saying, these are my rights. I'm standing here. And how do you want to deal with this? Because we have allowed it to be a generational curse because our parents and our parents' parents did not warn us or even tell us that like somebody can come knocking on your door 5 minutes from now, you could be kidless. And by the way, you could have done nothing absolutely wrong. But evidence is not circumstantial. Like you can't just say, hey, Tiffany, you did this to a kid on this day at this time. You have to be able to prove that. And so not only do you have to know your rights, you also have to understand, and Christine just said it, anybody can file a complaint. So like if you're really that afraid, POA somebody to do it, or speak up, or call somebody, phone a friend.
And there is a way. Now, in my daughter's case, they clearly said Nurse Lexi, and I'm putting that bitch's name back out here. Yes, Lexi, I got your ass fired. So anyway, she told us she was new, but you can file in circuit court in your area to get that complaint unsealed. Yes, you can, but they're going to play a game with you because they did it with me. I went to circuit court. They said, oh, you got to go to juvenile and domestic court. Went to juvenile and domestic court. They said, no, you got to go to circuit court. So I went to social services and I got the goddamn pamphlet. I opened it up and I said, it says circuit court. Where is the petition? Oh, now all of a sudden they know what I'm talking about. Oh, now all of a sudden you know what I'm talking about? So you ran me around here like a chicken with my head cut off for 20 minutes till I went and got the damn pamphlet. Because CPS is right next door to the courthouse here. Oh, now you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you knew what I was talking about to begin with. You just don't like me because you already know who I am.
Okay,
So
Kenneth, reach out to us through email. I can tell you, I'm an adoptee, foster, whatever you want to call me. I don't really have a clear
But I got his
category.
phone number. Why does he have to get me on email?
Oh, well, then in that case, I mean, Spanny, connect me.
He's one of my clients.
I don't have a category. I'm just Amber.
Well, everybody sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. Do your own research. Because everything we're telling you is true. Yes.
I only have one cigarette left. It's going to be a long night.
Oh, no. Do you have a vape?
It fell behind my damn nightstand and I can't get my nightstand out.
Where's Josh?
Downstairs playing in dust, so I can't go down there because I'm allergic to it.
Well, you know what you do. Yeah, I was getting ready to say, get you a blowhorn, Spanny. But I want everybody to do their own research. They can reach out to all of us. Spanny's got a lot of these people. But let me tell you something. What else? One more thing before we go. Persistence is the best defense. Don't ever stop.
I think the other thing, and this is the last thing I will say, is the punishment, like to do this repetitively, it sucks, okay? And nobody wants to do it. But in order to piggyback off persistence of what you're saying, you have to fight through it because it's a battle of wills for them. And they are praying and hoping that you will just walk away. So
yeah.
don't.
So I'm gonna elaborate one more thing. I told the state of Virginia when I had them on the phone, this was child support, and they put a lien on my checking account. They said, well, we're not giving you back your money. I said, oh, you're giving me back my money, honey. And I got the recording. I said, because if you think that you're going to bend me, you got the wrong bitch, is exactly what I said. I said, my will is so strong that I could take on this whole nation. Do not play with me. And I took their ass to court and I fucking won.
Well, here's
and in
the other
federal
thing.
laws for CAPTA, it does say that CPS is not allowed to charge you for child support. But you got to go through those federal laws and read them and then use them in court.
I also would like to say that a lot of parents that are at the beginning of any of this, like, you're not alone. So if you need one of us to sit there and kind of hold you up until you can like catch your breath and and stand up and shake it off. Like, we've all been here. So like,
Yep, and Wicked Warriors has a support group chat that I'm more than willing to put any of you in. Just let me know.
And we support, let me rephrase this, because I do believe that not everybody that gives birth or is a sperm donor can be a parent. I really don't. Okay. I'm living my own situation right now. But I do support the parents who really have been wronged. Okay. And I know Spanny, she's just like me. You lie, your paperwork's fucked up. I'm dropping you like a bad habit, and don't ever contact me again, because apparently you did do whatever they said you did. But I do help a lot of parents get through this. And I guess it's my whole demeanor that they get a backbone, because I'm telling you, I got a lot of people that are standing up to these judges, and these judges in Virginia are going, oh my God, what is going on? Yeah, Tiffany Wise is what's going on here in Virginia.
And Tiffany will be the first person to tell you, just because I'm in Alaska doesn't mean I don't find out crap.
That's right.
I will find out. I don't care if you're in Maine. I will find out if you're lying to me.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I can say that I really am like an attorney for, because some attorneys will drop your ass like a bad habit if you get caught lying to them. Because I've had quite a few clients that got dropped, and then I dropped them because they lied too. So that is one thing I don't play. Just tell me the truth. Just tell me the truth.
yeah, because I think what people don't understand is if you don't tell the truth, somebody's going to find out about it. So like, there's a lot of time that goes into this, and it's easier for parents that have messed up to say, listen, I messed up and I don't know how to fix this. Please help me understand how I can fix this, because you're more going to get the help that you need to be a successful parent being upfront versus not. And Kenneth needs to connect with me. Spanny.
So Saint he knows I know about Saint Francis Ministries. I have another client, and their child was neglected and killed within the Saint Francis Ministries.
I'm
Oh
going to
my
throw this
God.
out there. Is St. Francis tied to specific adoption agencies in Kansas?
Yes.
Mm. Mm. That sucks.
There's at least 3 children I know that have died within the St. Francis Ministries.
Then why are they still open?
I'm working on it. Don't worry.
Okay, because one death is one too many.
I've been having a lot of parents that have had children die either in CPS custody or in like St. Francis Ministries issues coming forward.
St.
And,
Francis is a Catholic.
I have people all the way up to Philadelphia. And I've seen some pictures, and you don't want to see those pictures.
Well, don't send them to me, Spanny, because I ain't got enough CBD to control me tonight.
I don't have enough bail money to send you those. Are you kidding?
Larry can write my bail, but just don't send them. All right.
There is some things I don't share on purpose. I know better.
Thank you, Spanny. I appreciate that. You have no clue. And my husband probably does too. Yeah.
Wow.
And when people go through social workers, that's another problem, right? Because you'll have one social worker that took the kid, but there'll be a whole different social worker testifying in court, right? And all she's doing is reading notes that could have been falsified. That's an issue.
Or the caseworker that doesn't read the file at all and gets it, and then thinks that you're in another city completely, and she has to go to that city to meet you. So she tells you that, and you're going, why?
See, that's an issue. That's an issue. That's an issue.
There's a lot of issues.
But they've
Yeah,
had
there
this
is.
file for 3 months. And I've talked to these parents a few times.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, I will say this. I am not a president person because the president personally has never done a fucking thing for Tiffany Wise. So I don't care who's in office. But Trump will be back.
I
And
plead
Trump,
the fifth on who the president is right now. I'm not allowed to talk about that anymore. Tiffany
okay.
won't
I'll
let me.
mute myself for that one.
Well, she could say the same thing I did right now. But Trump will be back. And Trump has already signed stuff when he was in last time. And one of them was looking into why federal funds are being misused and why child support is being collected when these states are getting grants. That is not a loan, they are grants. And he's also looking into CPS because he does agree that parents have rights. So Trump will be the next president. Now, I'm not saying he might not be doing it from a federal penitentiary, but I don't think it's going to get that far because I think once they nominate him, they have to stop their investigations. If I believe that's what the Constitution says, but I'll have to go back and read that part.
They're trying
But
to ban them in a few states, but it's not going to work because you can write in. There's that other spot, guys. You can write in a name. I don't care if
they
it's
can't
Mickey
ban him.
Mouse or
They
Scooby Doo.
can't ban him. Spanny, they can't ban him. The Supreme Court already said no state can ban him, right? Because the states only have certain people that they can ban. And a president or an elected, somebody who's running for president was not on any of the states' things. No state can ban Trump. Nobody can ban Trump.
Oh, and yes, the guy probably did some crap. But let me tell you, the stuff Biden's done is far, far worse. If you guys actually dig through his file, it is far worse than anything Trump's ever done.
Well, not only that, he's losing his marbles a little bit. He's stumbling over shit.
He has dementia.
Yeah, well, yeah. Kamala Harris is actually running this country right now. Telling you.
Yeah, he
But
actually
anyway,
has dementia. Anybody that's been around a dementia patient can see it.
you got that right.
All right. So
We're not going to do a show on Sunday because it's Easter.
it's my
We'll do
birthday
one
too.
on Wednesday, and Kenneth, you're more than welcome to come on live Wednesday.
Your birthday is Easter this year?
Yep, my birthday's Easter this year.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Another year older.
Yeah, I hear you. Every
Are
time.
you guys gonna stay on after?
Yeah, for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the form that Tiffany's going to give us at least 2 to 3 days to get that, please. Our paralegal, she's kind of busy. She asked me for a list, and I gave her a list. All right. We're going to end the show here, guys. Thank you for joining. Please like and share. Share it everywhere. Like it everywhere. Force it down people's throats if you want.
And subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, that part too. Please subscribe.